The time is 12 minutes past 7. A new survey has found employment inequality is being faced by those with epilepsy. Epilepsy UK says almost 60% of adults in the UK with the condition have experienced direct discrimination and also faced a wage gap with those who didn't have the condition. Well, let's speak to Rebecca Smith, who is Deputy CEO of the charity Epilepsy UK. Rebecca, good morning to you.
Morning. It's actually Epilepsy Action.
Right.
Sorry to correct you.
No problem at all.
There's a few epilepsy charities.
Well, absolutely. Tell us more about the findings of this survey.
Yeah, it's really disappointing. We conducted this survey anonymously with employers, so 500 employers from across the country responded, and 1,500 people with epilepsy. And there's some really, really sad results, really, considering we've got an Equality Act, considering where we think we are in terms of supporting people with disabilities, and some shocking statistics have come out of it. 42% of employers have admitted that they would think, basically not employ someone with epilepsy because they would think it might create challenges in the workplace. And 14% of them actually thought that they could say that they won't employ someone purely because they've got epilepsy. So there's lots there that's sort of basically highlighting that disabilities are still being discriminated against in the workplace. And it's not even subtle. As you say, some people are being quite upfront about this direct discrimination. Yeah, absolutely. And then on the other side of that, within the survey, you've got the people who are working who have epilepsy. Half of them won't, report any kind of bullying or discrimination in the workplace for fear of losing their jobs. And a third of them won't actually admit that they've got epilepsy when they're going for jobs because they know they'll be discriminated against. So, it's a really difficult position to be in. And how can the condition affect people in employment, and what sort of help can employers put in place? Yeah, and that's the thing. Epilepsy is so diverse, and affects people in so many different ways. So you can't, whatever your preconceptions are of epilepsy, you have to put those to one side, because it can be really simple things that actually mean someone can work, and be a high-performing member of your staff. The fact a lot of us work more flexibly now, whether that's working from home more or other adjustments, means that people with epilepsy have, more opportunities to look at some small, reasonable adjustments within the workplace that will help them. And those that need sort of more adjustments, employers can get support for that. So there's an access to work scheme that any employer can use if they feel they've got to make, more complicated adjustments to the workplace. And is it the fact that it is so diverse and it can affect people in so many different ways? Do you believe that is leading to this discrimination, people not fully understanding the condition? Yeah, partly. I think people have preconceptions about epilepsy, and it's, there's a lot of stigma around it. And so, I think they're going into that thinking that there's a lot of issues there around health and safety and things like that. And there's not, these are people who are very resilient, who already manage a condition, day in, day out. And they would, very quickly say, this is what I need if they felt they weren't going to be discriminated against. So they need to be given that opportunity, and employers need to embrace the fact that if they do a bit of training, they'll understand very quickly that, a lot of what people with epilepsy need is very, very basic. And this discrimination is, in some cases, hitting employees, people with epilepsy, in the pocket. There is a wage gap here, and you would like to turn the tables on employers who break the rules. Yeah, absolutely. What we're seeing is, trade union, TUC has, kind of talked about a 12% wage gap for people with epilepsy. 42% of people with epilepsy are working, when over 70% have actually have epilepsy that is controlled, whether by medication or other lifestyle changes. So, there's gaps in employment, there's gaps in pay, and we need, to sort of say the Equality Act's clearly not doing enough to make sure that people with epilepsy can work. And when tribunals happen, things like that, it's very small payouts. like and fines for companies. So part of what we're doing is petitioning government and saying this needs to be a much harsher penalty. And we need to be hitting companies where it hurts in order for them to just sit up and start actually doing something about this.
Rebecca, nice to speak to you this morning. Rebecca Smith there, who is with Epilepsy Action. Epilepsy Action. Epilepsy Action. Epilepsy Action.